Hello everyone. Welcome to another live session with the Little Leaps. I thank you all for joining us today, regardless of your time zones. It's rewarding to have this continuous learning to making a positive impact in our children's lives. Now, before I introduce you to our speaker, I would like to discuss a bit about traditional schooling. Historically, traditional education has prioritized standardized content and uniform skill set, often overlooking individuals' interests and passions, isn't it? However, learners don't just need to be prepared, they need to be empowered. This necessitates a fundamental reimagining of education, placing learners, their interests at the forefront. Today, I'm extremely happy to have Raaji Naveen as our speaker, as she is a firm believer in this philosophy and in alignment with her vision. She and her husband have founded two schools, the HLC, the Social Enabler, India's first Ashoka Changemaker institution, and Beyond Aid. Raaji is also a Harvard graduate, and she serves as the ambassador for Harvard Graduate School of Education and provides advisory services to several prominent educational institutions in India. Her dedication extends beyond education, as she has co-founded various social initiatives as well, including Kartavyam, Militva, Elena, Cognify, and Explorers. Additionally, she serves as a board member of KLCT Trust, supporting underprivileged children and causes in education, arts, and the environment. As a social entrepreneur and heutagogy expert, Raaji focuses on implementing evidence-based, systemic, and impact-focused approaches to revamping the education system. Her remarkable leadership was recognized by the Madras Management Association in July 2019 when she was honored as an uncommon leader. And that's a remarkable achievement, Raaji. So tell me, Raaji, how did you stumble upon the journey of this early childhood education, or were you always keen on doing something in this field?
Thank you so much for that generous introduction, Madhuri. I think before we talk about my journey in education, it is always good to know the backstory, right? Usually, all our philosophies, all the things that we work on, is based on how we grew up as children and where we are from. To remember where we are from is so important. So for me, from the chawls of Kalyan in Mumbai, grew up as a youngster in living in chawls. To working in corporate New York, the towers of New York, or founding multiple organizations and guiding and mentoring people, like you rightly said, serving as ambassador of Howard Graduate School of Education. I think it has been a very fulfilling journey, and it almost feels like life has come a full circle. I started as a tuition teacher in grade 8, teaching children who were in my own class or in class 7 and class 6, right? So I had to make money at that time to support my family's income, and I used to take tuitions. And of course, I was the most devoted to my own sister's education, who was 5 years younger than me. And I remember growing up with two very strong statements. My mom would say that education is the only thing that can take our family out of poverty and can earn us respect. And my dad would call me Raja Beta. My name was Raji, but he will call me Raja Beta, almost sort of, instilling that sense of strength and fearless attitude that I'm grateful to have. I used to be very, very competitive as a youngster, wanting to ace in academics and constantly trying to think how can I get better than that person who's always getting that first rank. But I also had my share of being a South Indian in Bombay. Had my share of bullying and those things that come across in conventional schools, maybe, or in places where those are aspects that are acceptable, that are not really addressed. But I think one very, very important part of that whole phase was my love for reading. I used to love reading, but couldn't afford many of the books. So I would go to this kabadwala. I don't know if you know, scrap store, right? Where they would have all the books and everything. So because I couldn't pay for the books, I would rent a book, and you could rent a book for 1 rupee at that time. Okay, so you could rent a book for 1 rupee, but if you read it, the guy he would say, if I read it within 1 hour, I had to just pay 50 paise. I literally exhausted reading every single book in that Kabadwala store. So I started with English, and then I read Tamil books, and then Hindi, and then Marathi. So I think that reading was a very, very important part of that journey. And then while school was very competitive and there was a lot of bullying and all of that, but engineering was a very beautiful, very beautiful phase, because that's when I really learned about peer collaboration, where I learned that, you actually cooperating and collaborating is something that you can really sort of, that makes you grow as you move on in your learning journey. And I also figured out different techniques to learn, be it note taking, be it trying to understand how to crack a question paper, all of those, the learning how to learn techniques. Later, I realized that that is called as learning how to learn, but I realized that that's what I was trying to figure out as I was, growing up and trying to crack those examinations. Of course, you had these benevolent benefactors also, because the bookstore guy, he would know that there are children who cannot afford books, and you cannot really afford very expensive engineering books. So he would actually let us borrow, and we would take notes and, pull apart a book, take different notes from different sections, and then put it together. So collaboration is something that I really learned during engineering. And then came marriage. That was again a completely different, tipping point or turning moment, because I was getting married into a family that didn't believe in competition. That was, my in-laws are theosophists. They believed in theosophical, way of thinking, and they were educators, and I think it was a game changer in terms of, just thinking about education in a very, very different way. And also, working in corporate New York, obviously you understand racism, you understand perspectives that are different from where you are in India. And the final, I think, the last part in that journey, in my backstory, was coming back to India. And I think the journey in learning that I share with my co-conspirator in life, my best friend Naveen, my husband too. I think the joy of being able to learn and grow together, create together, is something that I know should be treasured, and something that I'm very deeply grateful for. Of course, our hands are full with a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old who teach us to be humble, and teach us compassion, because just because you're an educator doesn't mean you will be the best parent. So they both are the humbling the humbling force in our life, to teach us that every day has to be cherished. And but I think above all of this, Madhuri, I'm so grateful for the thousands of families that we have worked with in the last 20 years, hundreds of facilitators, NGOs, organizations. And I also think I have learned the most from children with disabilities. You learn, because the kind of the thinking that you have to sort of put in when you're working with children with disabilities, working with children coming from different socio-economic background, again, that's a very, very gratifying, humbling experience. Makes you more creative, makes you more empathetic, makes you more open-minded, and makes you more accepting of all that is around you. So if you think about it, how did I land in education? I guess I started with being a tuition teacher, and here I am after having journeyed the corporate world as well. But I think the way I look at education, and the way Naveen and I look at learning itself, is based out of our own experiences.
Yeah, so you were taking tuitions for grade 8, so you thought maybe I will go beyond 8 and see what happens.
Oh, that is a good one.
There's a
That
bit.
was a good one. I had not thought about that at all yet, Madhuri. But yeah, maybe that is what it was.
Yeah, and your co-conspirator is here with us in the audience. Naveen, we'll come to you, Naveen, in some time. So yeah, thank you for being here, Naveen. So you were mentioning about how working with uh, children with disability made you more humble and accepting, right? So I want to ask, did it make a difference when you started working with young children also? Was it more because when I started working with younger children, what I realized is that you have to be very open, and just like with children with disability, you have to be very open. You have to be non-biased, free of judgment, and not keep thinking the child is doing because intentionally the child wants to irk me or irritate me, right? So more accepting. So when you started working with children at HLC, and it's a K-12, right? So when you started working with those young children, did it make any difference, or was it a vice versa kind of a thing? You started working with young children and then you delved into the children with disabilities and all that. What was it? What was your journey overall?
So it was, I started by teaching children theater. I was drawn into it, and it was, teenagers, but I have taught children right from pre-KG to grade 12, and I have realized that they all they all seek similar things. They want to be cared for. They like to be understood. They want to be accepted. They want to have their self worth
Yeah.
shine, and they want people to support them in what they want to do, be it a pre-KG child or be it a grade 12 learner, a child with disability. If we remember that the fundamental principles of working with a child are the same, then we need to focus on equipping ourselves. Many time our ego comes in the way when we are working with a child. Let us say we are helping a child to read, or we are trying to help an adult to crack an exam, or we are trying to do some different activity with children and teaching them empathy and compassion. Many times our ego comes in the way because when we don't get immediate results, when we don't see that children are responding, we sort of realize that there is something not happening, and it's very easy to say that the child is not capable. If we believe that the child is capable despite ability or disability, despite the age, and I would say this for adults as well, it's not just for children. Actually, fundamentally, everyone wants to have a person who instills self-worth in them and belief in them, who says that you can do, who encourages rather than sort of says that you're a good for nothing. That is the first thing. And the second thing is when a person collaborates with you, listens to you. And I think one very, very fundamental aspect of what I do is I think about listening to the learner's voice, be it a pre-KG child or a grade 12 learner. When you listen to them, rather than telling them what they need to do and advising them and correcting them, if you listen to them, shed your ego, become creative, upskill yourself, and walk that journey with them, it becomes easier. For all you know, that is, and those are the things that help them learn and grow as well. And when children feel inspired, they don't want instruction. Yes, is very important, but when they see inspiration, that's where their tipping point also sort of grows. They will be learning, let us say, reading and numerics and numeracy and literacy and all of that. But when they find a person who inspires them and motivates them and cares for them, and they know that they can trust in this person for them to grow, they will learn. And but I think from the educator's perspective, we need to remember to equip ourselves, upskill ourselves, be creative. And hence, when I say children with disabilities, because it's so apparent that you need to understand where they are, and you need to shed all the egos and the preconceived notions you had in your head and think anew. And in that joy is something very different.
Yeah, I think it's a very spiritual journey, isn't it? I'm sure you must have felt that way while you started this journey. Each child is different, and I think each adult also you must be working with is different, and must have changed you as a person to make things done rather than enforce them. and let them know what to do. So probably you as a person would have also evolved while you have worked with these people and children. And I'm sure it must be a very enriching experience overall, right?
Working with people, Madhuri, is exceptionally rewarding. And when you see the joy in their faces, when you and the what you get from working with people, the love and the care and the affection, it's almost contagious. So you love, and like you rightly said, be it children or being adults, and I have learned more about myself. The child, as a child, I used to be very angry. I used to be very angry. I used to be competitive, angry in the fact that, why are things not like this? Why are things not like that? Why do we have to do this? Why don't I have this? Why can't I, I didn't even know about IITs at that time. That was the kind of, growing up journey was mine. But then later, as you grow and you learn, and you're surrounded by mentors and wonderful people who guide you, then you sort of remove that anger, and you look at action, and you look at what you can do, and in that action you realize and you appreciate the power of people. So I think when we talk about children and the skills they should have, or adults and the skills they should have, I will keep harping on only three things. One is, have a good self-worth. If you are okay, everyone around you will be okay.
Correct.
So find out what, and that's the spiritual journey that you're talking about, right? To be okay with oneself is exceptionally important. And then you also make other people feel okay, because you know that you have accepted yourself with all the pluses and minuses, and you're okay with that, right? Nobody can be all plus or all minus, right? And the second part is to be curious. When you're curious, you spoke about non-judgmental, right? Earlier on, when you're curious, you're not immediately jumping to conclusions. You're not immediately saying that you know. You're still staying on that learning edge, and you're willing to know more. So even non-judgmental is all about trying to want to know more about what's happening and then acting. So I think that curiosity, and curiosity also gives you excitement and enthusiasm. So what is life without little bit of enthusiasm and excitement? Life is not some serious journey of goals and check boxes that you have to achieve, and sort of wear your blinkers on and move ahead. So curiosity also helps you have that little fun element, that enthusiasm, excitement, and being non-judgmental also, because you're not jumping to conclusions. You're wanting to learn more. And finally, people skills, which we don't talk about at all in conventional schooling or education. There is no subject where it says, let's understand you and the people around you, right? There is no subject like that. And yet we somehow feel that, that we need to be happy, that we need to, who taught us all of that? We were taught to add and subtract and read and write an exam, but then we want people to be happy. How can somehow it doesn't sit well, right? It doesn't, you're trying to break one code, but you want some other outcome. And hence that self-worth, curiosity, and people skills, if we can all have in ourselves, and also impart that to the people that we are working with, and not just people we are working with in our own families, it sort of makes it more holistic, and it can be a little more peaceful for all of us there.
Yes, that's so true. Yeah. And I think for us to have all these three qualities, um, having good observation skills will play an amazing role. Very very critical for us to have very good observation skills, because this is what I have seen. I I was an observant person, but when I started working with young children, I realized that the more acute you are in your observation, the more non-judgmental you become, the more curious you are, because you know that this tantrum that is right now you are seeing is not necessarily the actual personality of the child, but there must be something deep rooted behind. There must be some story in the background that has caused this behavior. So I think all that is necessary, and that comes only through observation. So I would say, I think your suggestion would be to help develop your observation skills. And it's not just the teachers, right? It's also the parents, right, Raji? Because children spend only 6 to 8 hours with educators, but the major time is spent with the family. So what do you suggest these families? How should they behave with their child from very early on?
Wonderful, wonderful question, which I love actually, thinking about. And first of all, parents think that they have to do the role of the science teacher and the math teacher and the English teacher. If they can stop thinking about all of that and remember, of course, they will support their children when the child is struggling and if the child needs support and all of that. But that's not your primary, the primary hat that you wear. To parents, I just say four things. One is enjoy your child. They are only going to be children for 18 years. After that, 72 years of their lives, they're going to be adults. It feels like these 18 years seem like 180 years because of the work that you have to do with your child, but it's just 18 years that they are going to be with you. And can you first of all enjoy your child? Just sort of be okay with who they are. That's the first thing. And then the second thing I would say is, like you rightly said, observe, right? Understand your child. Understand your child, because today's children are from the alpha generation. They have very, very different characteristics. But the parents are project leader parents. If you're going to have a project leader parent, then your child is going to become a project. And then everything is going to be a checkbox. I did this, I did this, I did this. And then, finally, did you enjoy your child? I'm not sure, but I finished all of the tasks. It's like, in trying to do the tasks, you're losing out on the bigger picture. So can you understand your child? Can you observe your child, like you rightly said? Can you be there for your child? So we are generally doing a lot. We have to do this, we have to do our work, and many times I think even in today's world, be it we may have come around so many years in development, but at the same time the mother is the first caregiver, especially in families where a child is with a disability. Again, the mother becomes the biggest caregiver in caring for the child. So there is a tendency to do a lot of things. Obviously, you're doing the cooking, you're doing the, caring for the child, and then you have to sit with the child for the homework, and maybe you're also working, and hence you're trying to do that as well. And for in many families, fathers may be doing that role too. So there is a lot of doing, but we and in that doing, we're also realizing that you do all of this, and then what you do is either you become very lazy. What is that lazy parenting is, because you may have gone to work the whole week, you didn't get time to spend with your child, so the weekend is in malls, right? It's almost like guilt tripping yourself. I didn't find time with my child, so I'm now a guilty parent, and now I'm taking them to the mall. Or you may be a lazy parent who is very irritated, so if the child is not listening, you use a carrot or a stick attitude, right? But I think what we really need in this fast insta generation, everything is so quick, is a little bit of slow. A little bit of slow is good. So being with our children, being with them, for them, also makes a lot of difference. Doing is important, yes, we're all doing a lot of things. So being there for our children and constantly keeping the conversation open, right from pre-KG to grade 12, that 0 to 18 years when they are with us, it's so important to have the conversation channel open. And that can happen only if we are observing and we are listening. If you are constantly telling, there is no conversation channel, right? And only if that two-way communication is open with them, will they actually come to us for advice. Will they trust that we will know them, that we will do right by them? After 18 years, up to that 100 year or whatever, they will still respect us for who they are, not just because we are old and we have white hair, or just because we are their parents. They will respect us because we were there for them. We listened to them and we observed them. And the fourth point I would.
You have to. Yes.
Sorry, I think somebody is talking. So, so enjoy your child, understand your child, be there for your child. And I would also say be prepared for the future in the present. You were talking about this, Madhuri. So the world is changing, everything is changing. There is AI, jobs are going, jobs are being created. This is happening, that is happening. So what do we do? What shall I tell my child? What can I prepare? Tell me 10 top jobs that I should prepare my child for. No, 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 that is not the right thing. What we need to do is, again, the basic three aspects. ensure that you have your child has self-worth, ensure that your child is curious, and ensure that your child has people skills and knows how to learn. If they have that four fundamental attitudes built within them, then no matter what changes occur, no matter how the world is going to go, we don't know. I cannot predict the future, right? I know for sure that it will not be what we did 10 years ago. I know for sure it's going to be different. How different? We don't know. We'll have to figure it out together. How do we figure that out together? If we know that we are okay, that we are curious, we are willing to learn, and that we are able to support our teenagers also in that decision making journey, right? That's very important. So I may have disappointed you if I said that this degree and that college at this university and that course will be the right way for parents to help their children, but I'll always keep coming down to that basic fundamental principles that will help children also feel okay and do well, finally be happy as adults. We need more of them in this world that is divided and fast paced, and where there is so much of self inflicting of expectations of the self, which is so high. And hence it becomes very important that there is a little bit of compassion in the work that we do.
That's so true, and I agree completely with what you're saying. I like the fact that you brought in covering the guilt and taking the children to the malls. And I meet parents and I see this. So there is a saying in Montessori circuit. They say a lazy mother is a good mother. Okay, now a lazy mother is a good mother, but people can get confused with what is the meaning of being lazy is. So they think, okay, let's go to the mall together and laze out. But that's not what lazy mother being lazy mother is. What it means is that the house chores that you very promptly get up to do, allow the child to do it. Right? The responsibilities that you take for the child, let the child do. So when you are talking about these four things, like enjoy your child and then understand your child, be prepared, right? Be there for the child. All this, I feel personally, is possible when we are making them partners with whatever we are doing. Don't you think so? Because all this is possible when we are sharing that quality time. It may be half an hour, it may be 2 hours, it may be the entire day, but how effectively we are bonding with our child will decide the remaining 70 years or 100 years after that, those 18 years that the child has grown into an adult. So yeah, I agree with all these 4 points, and I totally understand what you are saying. But I also want parents to understand that when we say lazy, lazy means make the child collaborate with you, make the child partners with what you are doing, and step back a little, and let the child also do their part, or even for the community, like family. I'm sure. So I just visited your school beyond 8 in Kormangla, and I saw the interaction with those children. So I saw these two girls, I will call them girls, and they were solving the problem. I think it was calculus on the board, and I was totally confused who is the student and who is the facilitator. And then I asked, so I actually got confused and I addressed the facilitator as the student and vice versa. And then the other facilitator corrected me, saying that no, it's the other way around. And what was interesting was, why I got confused is because what I saw was the student was pretty much involved in understanding the problem rather than just standing and waiting for the teacher to arrive to the answer and tell her. Right? So that is more important when you are, even for parents at home, I feel, and for educators in school, it's very important that you involve the child in the problem solving, right? I think you can talk in detail about how you build those kind of resilience and problem solving skills and critical thinking in your education system. If you can elaborate, help parents understand how they can do at home as well.
Yeah, Jadam.
Very good question, actually, Madhuri. And I think you have to listen to the learner's voice. That is the first step. Even a 1 month old child knows who to go to, knows when to cry. And so even a 1 month child is actually expressing voice and choice, right? What they like, what they don't like. Somehow we have these fundas about, how children don't know what they need, what they should do. And that is because we have not developed and cultivated a habit in them for actually making mistakes, or even trying to seek something and trying it out. When children are very young, they will babble, right? What do parents do? Parents will also babble along with them. Although it is completely, they are not making sense, but you enjoy their babbling and they're making mistakes. That same child in grade 3 does one mistake in multiplication, that's it. Fumes are coming out of your head. because at that point, it is not a babble anymore. Suddenly, you need to, achieve these academic outcomes. So I think every time you're going to just focus on the academic outcome or the project leader mentality, right? I have to achieve this goal. My child should go to that university, this college, this course, and they have to do that. The minute you sort of, move away from that and sort of, work with your child and share power with your child, it's very difficult to share power, because you almost feel like, what do you think? How do you even expect me to share power with you? Because I have so much experience. I have all of these life experiences. I don't think you know. You're a teenager. You're just talking back to me. How will you know? You're just thinking about 100 other things. You're thinking about your friends and your girlfriends or boyfriends or this or that. How is it even possible for you to know or make life decisions which are important? And it is very confusing to, at that stage, to share power with our children, right? Like you spoke about how, collaborating with them on household chores, be it, or allowing them to make that decision. You need to have a culture that listens to the child, and for that culture you need to listen to the facilitator also. At both Beyond 8 and HLC, we say that the facilitator comes first, the learner comes next. Usually, in every educational institution, you would have heard that it's the child who comes first, child first, child first. We actually say that the facilitator comes first, because once you have the facilitator experience the compassionate empathy and feel okay and feel confident, then they don't have the need for showing ego or the resistance in sharing power with the children that are there around them. They feel okay. They know that they don't have to, show power to earn respect. They don't have to show power to actually, get applaud or applause from their peers or from the from the founders of the organization, right? So when you build an organization culture that respects the facilitator, and allows them, gives them the exact same thing that you want from the children in your ecosystem, then you don't have a problem of, I am the teacher, you're the child, I have power, I know. And that sort of, translate into the family as well, right? So that's how it is achieved, Madhuri. You may be thinking that, in systems thinking, we think that if I have to fix a nail, I just have to take a hammer and hit it. For all maybe that nail didn't require fixing at all. It was some other problem that required solving, right? So you may think that for children to have freedom in a learning space, you have to do many things for children. Actually, you need to first look at the facilitator. You need to look at the organization culture. You need to look at the support staff. You need to look at the vision and mission of the organization. And once you have that clarity, then children, a very beautiful saying that Naveen and I love, this is by a fantastic neuroscientist, Dr. V.S. Ramachandran. He will say, you do differently in the company of those who act differently. So when children see that facilitators are vulnerable, that facilitators are learners, facilitators are, feeling comforted, they are not showing their ego, they are not trying to win you or show their power, then they listen. And that's why you saw the two learners, I would say, even the facilitator is called as the learning facilitator. So the two learners that you saw are actually learning. It's not about the power equation between the two, but it is learning at the forefront, the curiosity at the forefront, which is there. I hope, again, these are first principles approach, Madhuri. And to give you an example of a first principles approach, let us say a child likes to sing. Okay, what do we do in our conventional education? We will say child likes to sing, that's all okay, but you learn English, physics, chemistry, biology, math, you become the engineer, then you will be able to earn a lot of money, then you go abroad, and maybe you will come back, or maybe you will stay there. And then once you go abroad, and then at 40 years of age, you will think that, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? Why am I not singing? I want to sing. And then you start singing. That's not what we do. First principles approach, if you like singing, then sing. Spend time with it, explore it, understand it. Yes, you have to do your academics too, but then today you don't need a degree to go to college. There are micro credits that are abound. The whole system, this industrial education system, is already breaking into different pieces. And all the, all the things that used to be a given many years early on are already being shattered, right? So colleges are not looking at just marks. Colleges are looking at portfolios. Employees are not caring if you went to college or which university you went to. They want to know, can you do the job? A degree in carpentry doesn't make a good carpenter. A degree in writing doesn't make a great author, right? Degrees are just degrees. So if we remember to define the problem correctly and build a culture in which we are constantly listening to the learner's voice, and we are constantly looking at being curious as an organization, then I think those blurs, the lines will be blurred. You won't see power plays. You will be able to, of course, we are in cricket season, but we won't be seeing power plays. We will be actually, seeing a beautiful relationship emerge between children and the facilitators around them.
Yeah, so beautifully said. So I remember I visited this Rishi Valley school in, I forgot the place. It's muddy, whatever. So
It's in Andhra Pradesh.
Andhra Pradesh, but I forgot.
Place is called Madanapalli.
Madanapalli, yes, Madanapalli. So I visited Rishi Valley School, and I met this child. He was in grade 10th, I believe. And I was asking, he was reading a book, and I was asking him, what do you like? And he said he likes music. And I said, what about your teachers? Do they give you opportunity? So he said a very interesting thing. He said he has an English teacher, and once we were not interested in going through some literature and all, and we were interested in listening to a music. So the English teacher brings a classic music with the lyric. She played the music, and then she discussed about the lyrics, because lyrics is definitely poetic, right? So it was so beautiful, and then she started talking about verses and understanding the meaning of it, what would have the lyricist thought about it, and all of that. And then the notes, the rhythm. So the child was saying what was interesting about it was the integration, the incorporation of music with the subject, English, right? So I think these are very beautiful ideas, very creative ideas, which will encourage children to follow their passion and also develop interest in education, in learning, right? As you rightly said that, parents or the teachers or these traditional conventional schools, oh, you like music, okay, you can join the choir group, but you need to pass the exam, right? So the entire focus is on the academics, and the extracurricular is just like time pass for them, just a hobby, right? And I have seen, and personally I have experienced, that when you are deprived of things that you are so passionate about, when you are not allowed to do those, you lose interest in learning as well. The academic also takes a back seat, right? So I totally love the fact that what you said is, if the child likes music, the child should be given the opportunity to learn music, rather than saying, no, this is not what you need to do now. You can do it at 60 years, but right now you just study. I think that's not something the parents should think. Having said this, I would like to ask you, So, how can parents and families, contribute in instilling these qualities, these interests? How can they keep? It should not be like, as you said, the checklist of the parents, and then they keep ticking it, right? Okay, my child should go for horse riding, my child should go for badminton, and then swimming, and this and that, and because they are doing, I'm a good parent, right? Instead of that, how can parents contribute in this child's development where the child is enjoying the life, the parents are enjoying their time with the child, and also keep ensuring the fact that the learning is not compromised?
True, it feels like a difficult thing to do. No, it feels like, oh my God, you have to listen to the child, you have to be there for the child, you have to care for them, then you have to guide them for the future. I was talking about this analogy of, driving a car. When you start driving a car at the beginning, you have to think about, I have to hold the steering wheel, and I have to, this is the manual drive cars, right? And you need to know when to press the accelerator, brake, or clutch. You need to change the gear, you need to look at the traffic, you need to look at them. It feels overwhelming because you're trying to put everything in one box, and you're trying to learn. It will be overwhelming at the beginning, but then when you sort of make that a habit, after that you can actually roll down the window, put your hand out, and then listen to the music and also sing along. But none of this will is easy. In our fast food generation, we want immediate. Swiggy and Instamart and Blinkit gets us things in 10 minutes, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. I remember my father-in-law would say, I really want to know where this Instamart store is. Is he really waiting there? How can he bring things in 7 minutes, right? So I think that instant gratification, when you want instant gratification from the effort that you're putting into your child, that's the nemesis. That's where everything stops. You need to focus on providing that nurturing, caring support, and then allowing the child to figure out. The child is not somebody that you need to sort of, mold. You don't need to mold the child. You need to provide a different, a range of experiences and exposure over a period of time. Constantly be checking in, constantly have the conversation open, constantly provide them, if you were to sort of think about it, you need to express care. Obviously, be there for them. Tell them that you're there for them no matter what they do. You're there, you're dependable. Challenge growth. You just, while, it's not about just being okay with whatever they are doing and letting them be. I don't like that philosophy of let them grow, they will figure out. No, no, no. That's not what we are talking about, right? When you say you're challenging growth, you're expressing care, you're being there for them, and you're nudging them to be better than what they were earlier. But how do you nudge them? By providing that support, you're guiding them, empowering them, you're advocating for them. Actually, in many ways, you're acknowledging their choices, knowing their voices, but you're also providing support. How can this happen? You will need to equip yourself as parents. You can't just be mute spectators, right? Thinking that the school will take care of everything. You started the conversation by saying only 6 to 8 hours the child is in school. Then the parent wants the school actually to, instill moral values, ethical values, happiness, physics, chemistry, biology, math, cleaning the room, eating the right food, and then going to different places, go on field trips, holidays, vacations, everything the school has to do. It's almost like, you're pawning off everything as a parent to the school. But instead, if you were to express care, if you were to challenge their growth, nudging them, and how do you nudge them? By empowering yourself, by providing support, and like I said, share power with them, respect and listen to them, and then expand possibilities. We were talking about earlier, Madhuri, about children going to alternative schools, children going to conventional schools. How does it differ? When parents make very thoughtful choices, when children are going to, there are different reasons for parents choosing different schools, right? And there are different aspects around it. But when a parent thinks before making a decision, be it a conventional school or an alternative school, I'm not talking about only conventional, right? But if the parent has thought through that process, the child will flourish. Because it's, again, lazy parenting could be, oh, everybody is going for alternative schooling, my child will also go. That's not the child who is going to benefit. No matter what school you put in, if you have put thought into your child's learning, and if you have equipped yourself to understand over a long period of time, not just understand this school has 100% results, I studied math, my child should study math. And if you're going to remove all of those notions from your head, and you're going to walk that journey with your child, then you will be able to expand possibilities. And then the choices that they will make, many of them may be wrong, but you need to be with them in that journey. You need to allow them to babble, not just when they are in their baby years, but also as they are growing up. And that's what will, you were talking about spirituality. When you do all of this, at least you will be at peace with yourself. Or else you will constantly second guess, should I have put her in alternative school? Should I have, parents will ask, should they go in science? Should they go in commerce? Should they go to this job? Should they go here? Should they go in, should they study in India, or should they study abroad? There are just, you're constantly asking questions, and that's not curiosity. That is just going bonkers over something that requires more thought, right? Curiosity happens when you have thought through something for a while, and then you have a question, and one question, not like one series of questions of how can I make my child a super child. So to answer your question, if parents can be parents, do not think that the school is a way to outsource your parenting responsibilities, and work with the school, work with the teacher, work with your child, and be there for your child. That will be, again, that is difficult. It's not easy. Like how you learn to drive, it's not easy. We are not talking about easy things here. But if you do it right, then when they are, it becomes easier as they grow up, if you have done the hard work at the beginning.
Yeah, they say, right, it takes a village to raise the child, right? So it's not just the school, or it's not just the family alone. I think it's the society, it's the family, it's the educators. All of them need to marry together to raise a beautiful, flourishing child. Because my father-in-law keeps saying nothing is absolute. Even if it is the best school on this earth, or even it's the best family, alone it cannot give everything to the child, right? So yeah, I feel it's important for everybody to contribute equally, and contribute as much as they are capable, right? So yeah, and what you were talking about, the list of questions and list of doubts that parents have, why not involve children again in having those kind of brainstormings, right? Instead of, oh, where he will go, where she will go, what to do, what to teach, what subject to take. It's better to ask the child itself, because we are thinking of their best, right? And their best only they can decide, not us. We can facilitate, but we cannot decide for them, isn't it? So having,
They are scared, Madhuri. We are scared of asking them what they want. What if they choose something that we don't like? And hence, the best thing to do is not to ask at all.
this happened with me as well, and the only thing that helped me was to accept the fact, because I have a musical bent, and I wanted my daughter to learn Hindustani classical, and she joined, and she actually topped her Madhya exams. And her teacher was also like, why does she stop? Ask her, why did she stop? Ask her to come. And I kept asking, why have you stopped? She said, I want to focus on my sports, and I don't want to learn music. I kept asking why. She had no answer, and she is just 11. So it was in my mind for a very long time, and I kept kind of persuading, influencing. It was not working. So I tried it for a month or so, and then finally I said it's better to accept. I think if we keep ourselves, at peace, I mean, make peace with the reality, then these things will not bother us. We will not be scared. Because even if the children are choosing something that we are not okay with, probably it's the best for them. But having said that, again, brainstorming will work. Maybe asking right questions and logically reasoning, why do you think this is important, probably will work, right? So, having said this, now you kept saying that the trust has to be developed between facilitators and the children, right? And you also said that facilitators also need to be learners along with them, need to be vulnerable, need to share their emotion. But these are very young children. I'm just taking the example of the beyond 8 because I just visited the campus. So I want to understand now. These are very children. These are very vulnerable children. They are not adult yet, but they are not even a child, right? They are in the middle where they think they are capable, they are adult enough to express themselves, voice their emotions, and yet they cannot, right? So how do you handle when children go off limits at times? Because yes, we can facilitate, yes, we can share our emotions, yes, we can accept what they want to say, and we can listen to everything. But when it goes beyond certain decorum, then how do you handle such situations?
It's not just for teenagers, by the way, Madhuri, it is for adults as well. So this not knowing what to do, not knowing the right thing to do, it doesn't just because you're adult doesn't mean that you know. Those are again fundamental problems that we have in our thinking. But you are absolutely right. We use a framework called Peace Framework, both in HLC and in Beyond It. Roy Layton is the person who has developed that framework, and he talks about very beautifully about the fact about the concept of negative peace. So if you think about peacekeeping, peacemaking, and peace building, then peacekeeping is negative peace because you're trying to, almost think about the army, which is trying to keep peace by guarding the border. Peacemaking is, it happens after a conflict has happened and you're trying to make peace. That is still negative peace. But peace building is the only positive peace aspect where you sort of, work in designing a culture that can equip children with the tools required to make the right decisions. However, there are times when children go and cross the line, and they will, because in the child development framework, children in the KG years are discoverers. In the primary years, they are observant. In the middle school years, they are explorers. They want to explore. They want to really, physiologically, their body is seeking that aspect of, let me try and push this boundary to understand and see how people react and what happens and how do I feel. And in those cases, there may be some peacekeeping and peacemaking that you will need to do. And you need to be very strong about it, because usually in those instances, somebody is getting hurt. If you are not going to take action, it means you're not protecting the cause of the child who is hurt. It could be a bullying incident. It could be something which is really, sort of invades your privacy. It could be online, it could be in person, it could be abuse of various ways. But if you're not going to act on it, then you're not really saying that you want to protect the child who is the victim here. But at the same time, while you're using peacekeeping and peacemaking and restorative measures, the way you will be able to have an ecosystem where the number of these infractions are reduced is by peace building, is by having a culture for the facilitators, for all stakeholders, and also the children to work with peace. And for that, you will need to have a safe space to fail. If you are not, again, that Babel analogy, right? If you don't provide them a safe space to fail, and if every mistake that they do is looked at it very seriously, then they can't even differentiate what is wrong, what is right, how wrong was something. There are so many grays, right? So it requires us as the organization, as the facilitators, as the thought leaders in a space to really look at the context, look at the child, see what has happened, and then think about it before acting, rather than saying that if you do this, if you break a light, rupees 25, and then this is what happens. And instead of making again a checklist or checkbox kind of approach, if you engage with that, with what has happened, and work with the family, work with the child, not bring down the self-worth of the child because of the mistake, Take the action. There may be peacemaking and peacekeeping actions you may have to take, but the way you take it, the way you make the child feel after the child has done that, and the work you do in peace building is something that you need to really focus on.
So how
Again, it's not easy.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, working with children is a journey in itself. And I think even though 20 years, you must be learning every day something new, I'm sure. So I just wanted to ask, when you are working towards peace building, do you keep families in loop as well? And is the message convey, or sometimes when you have to take actions, like you just mentioned peacekeeping and peacemaking, where the other child or other person was hurt, right? So in such situations, how do you communicate with families um, so that it becomes positive for the child, where the child is not losing the self-esteem or the confidence, or too scared that they may be judged or punished at home? So or because in such situations what happens is the child will shut themselves. They will uh, they will lose trust in the facilitator, and anyway they will lose trust in the family as well. So how do you bridge that so that the family is also trying to support the child in a way that in a very progressive and positive way, rather than making it look like you have done some crime?
See, we can only make the effort in involving the family, showcase compassionate empathy, reason out with them, empower them, enable them. But finally, it's their journey. If we measure our success with what they do with the child in their home, then it becomes very, very stressful, right? Because every family, the equation is different. One family will completely love us for what we have done and work with their child, and the child will blossom. Another family will question. They will say that you guys are not strong enough because you're not punishing my child. My child has become like this and that. And, or they may say that this is not even true. You have made a miscalculation, misjudgment. They may even sort of, not go with us. But what we need to focus on is not their reaction or what they will do after going home or how they are going to interact with us in that equation. We need to work with the principles that work for us, for the organization, make that effort from our side 200% to ensure that we are doing right by the child, right by the children, the victim as well as the bully or the person who has inflicted that pain in that equation. We do right from our perspective. We allow for the results to emerge. If we get too tied to the outcomes, then it is very unfulfilling, and then you will think that you will start questioning um, your own philosophy. You'll say that, oh, two parents I spoke with, they didn't respond nicely. They went home and they yelled at the child. So now let us just suspend the child. Let us just do this. Let us just do that. Let us not really think about peace building. Let us just keep doing peacemaking. It's very easy. And there are times when you will feel that, you're being stretched thin, and that the fundamental philosophies that you are working with and you believe in are being questioned. um, uh, as long as you are able to hold yourself through those difficult moments, you will realize that parents will come back and they will thank you. Usually we keep saying this at HLC or beyond it during the graduation speeches or the progression speeches. The way children reflect for the care and the compassion that they have felt, and the way they enjoy it, that's when we also see all the work and the effort and the hard work and everything sort of coming along at that point.
Okay. So we are coming very close to our end of the session. So I will ask two questions, and then we'll speak to Naveen, and then we'll be open to the audience as well if they have any questions. My first question is: these children are coming in Beyond It. They are coming late, and then HLC is K-12, right? And both are a little alternative method of learning, isn't it? So how do you see these children learning skills uh, in terms of when they are in grade 9th, 10th? What kind of skills or what kind of potential the child comes with, and what kind of learning choices do they make? uh, I'm asking this, I'll give you an example. Like when I met one child over there, she opted for humanities and science, right? And it's a very unique kind of combination to choose. So, how do you decide this for children, or whether children only decide on their own? And what kind of background, what kind of preparation the child needs to have when they are taking these kind of decisions in their higher secondary and their, uh, PU and other classes. Yeah.
So at HLC, children come to us during the KG years itself. So there is a lot of observation, and we are constantly, looking at their growth. And we have built a very beautiful relationship with the parents during the KG years and the primary years. There is a lot of formative years. There is a lot of activities in which parents are also called very often into the school, and there is a lot of trust building that happens. So we know the children, and there are different ways in which there are subject choices that are made over a period of time after looking at the children's, performances and their likes and dislikes. They would have been given so many different opportunities, and we would have observed them in those opportunities, and we would have made recommendations. So the teachers around them are telling them and guiding them, right? And of course, the family is also brought into confidence in terms of those decision makings. And we see that in general, they also look up to their peers and they look up to their alumni for guidance. So we do a lot of work in helping them know more about the outside world before they make their decisions, because good decision making happens when you know more about what is there, rather than be stuck with what is your next door neighbor basically advising you on. At beyond 8, because they come in only at grade 9 or sometimes only in grade 11, and we have not really observed the child for a long time, we have a patent pending process called dream mapping, in which we actually listen to the child's voice, and we actually look at their aspirations, their strengths, their stretches, and put together a very detailed itinerary that the child can actually follow. Through their journey. They may change, they may make amendments, they may question the entire dream mapping recommendation and make something else. But that's the way we, and it's a process in which the parents are also involved deeply. It's a very long conversation, right? So it's a 3 hour to 3.5 hour conversation. Rama Lakshmi over here, who is also the co-founder of Elena, was responsible for the design along with all of us. So that's a process in which we understand the child in a holistic perspective. And then the options that they make, the decisions that they make, it's very thoughtful, it's mindful decisions that they are making. So what happens when we see these children progress out of our ecosystem? We feel that they are assured, they're self-assured, they're confident, they are compassionate, and being in inclusive spaces, they are showcasing empathy, and hence they are more mindful in the ways they look at the world. They are leading because they are confident about themselves. They are mindful leaders in the spaces that they are going into, be it a college or be it the work. Now I think Naveen and I, our first graduate from HLC, is now running an organization. She's running an organization that supports NGOs and all of that. So we keep looking at the wonderful choices that these children are making. Some may make traditional choices, some may do engineering, but even in that, we have seen that, there is a learner who is doing work in sustainable energy in Paris. There is a learner who is doing her PhD in physics in the US. So the choices that these children make are seemingly like the choices that any child would make, but the way they make those choices and the way they make the people around them feel is something different from what we believe, that these children are more mindful.
Wow, lovely. So the roadmap is very clear. You help them have a very clear roadmap and help them see the path so that the future is set. They know exactly what to do, and the ecosystem is such that it's giving them enough confidence to take that path and tread without any
They
incident.
may not know exactly what to do, Madhuri. It's a journey. I don't know if I know exactly what I want to do even at this age, but I think they are self-assured of that decision-making process, that ambiguous. They are okay to deal with that ambiguity and take that next step forward confidently.
That's very important, because as you said, nobody knows. It's a journey, ongoing journey, and people on their way make new things, new experiences, and that becomes the part of you, right? So I understand that, but having that ecosystem which supports that and makes them believe that what they are doing is right, they are going on the right track, is very important. So that's what you are doing right now, and it's commendable, because um, choosing unique path is very difficult. Choosing an easy, like everybody can become an engineer and doctor, because you know the future, you know what's going to happen, you know the outcome, you know the results, right? But when it comes to choosing some unconventional future, unconventional profession, you need a lot of belief in yourself, you need a lot of confidence, and you need people who also believe in you. So I think that's what you are doing as facilitators, as the promoter of the beautiful initiatives that you have started. And one last question that I would ask is that, what suggestion would you give to the parents um, from very early on? What should they do, even if their children are not going in an alternative, whether they are going in alternative or conventional schooling? But what suggestion would you give to each and every parent to support their children have that kind of paths that you are, supporting them in?
I wish there were a 4-year degree for parenting. There isn't. Maybe, but then we don't know if degrees will actually make you good human beings. So let us leave that out. I think we will just go with the fundamentals. First of all, parents also have to, equip themselves with the skills and the patience and the attitude that is needed to bring up their child. That is extremely important. And like I said, the 4 things, it can be 4 simple things: enjoy your child, be there for your child, understand your child, and be prepared for the future in the present. If you can do that, it's easy 4 things, but it's every day's work at the grind. Nothing comes easy. It's not like, today I'm going to do this and everything is going to be rosy out there. So, but you can make that hard work seem fulfilling if you approach it with the right attitude. And if you think about nurturing and caring and not instant rewards, if you just are more grateful for what has been dealt to you, and then sort of take it from there, life will be a little more gentle for you. Again, depending on the backgrounds that you're coming in, depending on the personal, there may be families in which the families are not together. We are seeing that quite a bit today. Families not staying together, the busy lives that we are leading, those make all of this seem like hard work and difficult work. And yet, if you have made that choice, then you will know you will need to equip yourself. You will need to stay with the process. You will need to work with yourself first and then work on the children. So I think first work with yourself, become more confident and equip yourself, and then remember to enjoy your child, and don't take life so seriously like a project leader who has to deliver a project. Actually, we spoke about this, Madhuri. Usually we say that the child development stages, first 5 years, first 6 years, are the most important, and then everything has happened by that time, and that is so important. Yeah, it is absolutely important. That is the stage when brain development is happening at the fullest. But that cannot be an excuse to not work with your child after they are 5 or 6 years old, or that cannot be an excuse to beat yourself up because you didn't do the right things until they were 5 or 6 years, right? There is a beautiful book called The Brain That Changes Itself by Norman Deutsch, and I think for us it also gives us a lot of hope, because we are working with an inclusive community. It gives us a lot of hope when you know that the brain is constantly changing itself. There are neural connections being made, and for that, there is work that needs to be done. And with the right kind of care and compassion around you, and the right kind of support that you're offered, you can actually do well. So, no matter what age in your life, your child may be 5 years or 6 years, don't repent on what's done or what's not done. Think about the present and see what you need to do and take from there. Don't beat yourself up about the fact that, brain development has stopped. No, neuroplasticity is enough proof that we are all constantly learning, constantly growing, and there is no time that is wrong. The time that you have thought about working with your child is the right time, but it cannot be done in a rush. It cannot be done in 7 minutes. Now that I sat with you, I'm going to crack this exam with you. It has to be again done patiently, and we need to upskill ourselves with that attitude.
Yeah, this reminds me of the story of Panini, the author of the Sanskrit grammar. So I read it in school. The story was basically this child. He was not at all good in studies, and everybody, the village children used to bully him because he was absolutely dumb. And he always questioned himself, why am I not able to do well? What is wrong? I'm studying, but still not happening. And he was not that interested also. He'll study, then suddenly he wants to play, or he will get distracted and just would not be able to focus. So once he was walking to the school, and while he was passing by a well, he saw that the ladies were pulling the bucket from the well, and while doing that, the rope was rubbing against the stone, and there was this huge dent, made because of this pulling every day. So what he realized was that if I keep doing this continuously, if I keep practicing continuously, maybe my brain will also develop a dent, and then I will become an intelligent, sharp student. And that's what he did. He became consistent in learning. He became focused in learning. So I think it has nothing to do with financial background. It has nothing to do with educational background. I think it's about the mindset, isn't it? It's about how focused you are, how invested you are, and how consistent you are to support your child's development. And as you said, it has nothing to do with 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 12 years. You just have to be consistently pushing the child, supporting the child, and that will make the difference. And not just one day you did something and felt like, oh my God, I'm the flag bearer of doing something great. So you have to just be consistent, I think, right? So thank you, Raji. I'm going to bring in Naveen. I'm going to pin you, Naveen, as well. Naveen is not just co-founder. Naveen is also Raji's husband. And they started Beyond 8 as well as agency together. So, Naveen, tell me about your journey and your understanding. We discussed a lot about how learning can be supported. Learning can be supported for children at home as well as in school. What are your suggestions about this, adding to what Raji has already mentioned?
First of all, well compared session, Madhuri. I think you asked a lot of questions that families will find pertinent in one way or another. But my views are pretty much the same as Raji. We discuss these things every day. She's given you all the little tidbits that are possibly consumable in an hour's session. Any more that I add will only be noise to the program. So I would just say, you use the things that she said. She's touched on some very important points, and just have a systems thinking approach. Your own webinar is called Turning Learning Right Side Up. Systems thinking approach is really at the heart of it. Doing one or two things and thinking we are going to solve something generally doesn't solve very much. So, yeah, I just resonate with all that Raji said.
That's lovely. So I just watched one of your interviews where I came to know that you were going to start a coffee shop or something after you were back from the US, and then from there on, suddenly the journey was totally different from what you were planning. And I think it was the right thing that happened. Sometimes, destiny is such that it takes you to the, direction which was meant to be. So thank you for starting a wonderful school and becoming uncommon leaders. That's wonderful. If we have audiences, if you have any questions here, please go ahead and ask Raaji and Naveen. They are open for answers.
I say that Raji is open for those answers. This is really, she's the star of the afternoon. I think all credit to her and the wonderful teams that have joined us on this amazing journey. So yeah, happy to stay in and listen in, but let Raji take this forward.
Sure. So if you have any questions, we are open. Anyone? I think I asked a lot of questions, so probably most of the...
Yeah, I think so, Madhuri.
Yeah, generally the questions that I ask is what the parents would have. So the registration form that I generally send, it already has questions. So yeah, most of the questions are from there. So I think most of it is answered here. And as I said, thank you for starting this initiative, these two initiatives, and also those initiatives, Elena and what was the other one? I keep forgetting.
Kartavyam and Militva.
Yeah,
and Explorers.
Yes. Explorer. If you can explain a little, I mean, go in a little detail, we can understand what these initiatives do.
Okay, all right. It's already 3:47, so I hope we are not holding people back. Just one sentence, about each of this. Elena is the closest to our hearts. It's all about inclusion, where we provide integrated services for people, for children with disabilities. So we work with families, be it doing assessment for their children. We sort of and then put a lot of services together for the child based on the child's needs. So it's again a very, very individualized, very curated program, and especially for families of children with disabilities, they only get piecemeal solutions. If they go here, they will get occupational therapy. If they go there, they will get speech therapy. But there is nobody looking at the child as a whole. So Elena's journey is to also, support these parents who are already running from pillar to post in 10 different ways, to have a one-stop solution where they have the right guidance to work with their children in many different ways. Explorers is our initiative in bringing integrity in sports through basketball. So we have around 150 to 200 basketballers being trained by Explorers in the south part of Chennai. The coach of Explorers was again chosen as the best coach by Junior NBA, and our children in HLC, they actually compete at an India level, and there are children who are going to go abroad as well. Kartavyam is our public problem solving diploma program, both at HLC and at Beyond 8. So we have many, many children who are authors, young authors, who have written books on public problems. At HLC in grade 8, children go through that process, and year on year for the last almost now I think 8-9 years we have had children writing books on public problems that they work with. And at Beyond 8 also we have had a book written by children called There's Room for Everyone. There is right now children are writing a book on cyberbullying. So Kartavyam is all about how we can't just tell that there are problems and someone else has to solve them, but also becoming a part of the solution by taking ownership through a design thinking framework. Militva is a very beautiful social entrepreneurship program in which, at HLC at 6th grade, we give children 500 rupees, and a 1 month they have to develop a product or a service and then grow that money. And year on year, it is just amazing to see the kinds of ideas that the children come up with, and all of the money that they earn is donated to charity. Similarly, in Beyond 8 also, grades 9 to 12 children they go through a financial literacy course, and then they go through a Shark Tank experience post which, in Shark Tank, it's all about, 1 billion, 2 billion, I'm going to raise this, I'm going to raise that, and those kinds of conversations that happen. But finally we say, okay, here is 500 rupees. It's not 500 billion, but let's see what you can do. So it's the same challenge that is given to them. They are given a month, and then they can sort of, they design a product or a service. And be it the sixth graders at HLC or the learners at Beyond It, it's just amazing to see the resourcefulness that children come up with. And when Militwa's concept is that, large scale social improvements cannot happen unless those who are able to take care of their economic needs very well also have a habit of giving back to society. So all of these earnings, and it's so difficult to part with your earning. Some children would have made that 500 rupees into 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 rupees within a month. And to just part that away to a charity is not an easy thing. But both Naveen and I believe that if they develop those skills earlier on, then they will have a habit of giving in their lives as well. So that was just one, a small peek into each of the initiatives.
That's brilliant. I mean, and the names for each initiative actually make so much sense. So for me to remember now becomes easier. It's beautiful, the names. So yeah, thank you, Raaji, for joining in today. And it's wonderful to know the things that you are doing. They are tremendously going to be helpful in each and every child's life who's part of HLC and Beyond It. And I'm sure the parents who are going to listen to this interview will also have a lot of things to take away and learn from. And yeah, together I think we will all try to turn the education right side up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madhuri, for the wonderful hosting. Truly grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah, sure, and you have a wonderful weekend, and thank you everyone for joining in today. You also have a lovely weekend.